Welcome to the Love Your Inner Athlete podcast, your go-to source for all things mental fitness and sports. Whether you're an athlete, coach, parent, or professional, you will learn as you join us to dive into inspiring conversations with those who have worked to develop their mental fitness. You will hear from people who've put in the work as either an athlete, coach, parent, or professional. In each episode, we bring you discussions and expert insights on developing resilience, focus, and mindset. Discover the concepts of mental fitness and learn how to use it to create consistent, durable confidence in both sports and life. I'm your host, Hans Schulstead. Let's get started. Welcome to the Inner Athlete podcast. Pleased today to have Allison Roethke joining us. She's an assistant coach at Sacred Heart for the women's team, played collegiately at Quinnipiac, played high school in Buffalo, and got to know her through my time working out in Buffalo. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Crazy. Yeah, thanks for doing this. So tell me, when did you first play hockey? And when you first played, did you fall in love with it?
When I first played hockey, I was probably about 4 years old. I'm from a hockey family. My dad played, my grandpa coached. I have an older sister who also played, a younger brother. I really just wanted to be just like my sister. So that's basically how I got into it. And I think my dad would claim that I hated it, but I feel like I've always said that I loved it. All I remember is they would tell me that I wouldn't go on the ice unless I wore this one specific pair of pink sweatpants. So I guess I just had to wear those and then I was good to go.
Yeah. Do you still have pink sweatpants?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely
not. Nope. Those were retired.
Oh, that's too bad. That would be quite the sight.
Yeah.
Especially
I think
practice.
My dad would love if I brought it back, but I don't see myself doing that.
You know, you could head to a thrift store and find some really easily for very cheap, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. But I'm talking like these were like a very, very specific pair. Like,
yeah,
I would have to find a picture. I'm sure my dad has plenty.
I'm sure. Well, that's a great memory. I could see you being that particular.
Yep.
So tell me, what's the best advice you've ever gotten in either sports and life? Who gave it to you and how have you used it?
The best advice I've ever gotten. I think something that stuck with me, like just through life and through hockey, was you are who you surround yourself with. My dad told me that from a very, very young age. And I think I didn't really realize what that meant when he first told it to me. But I can see exactly what he meant now. I think that's truly why I'm in the position I am in now. I think as I got older, I surrounded myself with people who were like-minded or people I just wanted to be like. Maybe I wasn't particularly on their level yet, but I wanted to be like them, and that was a goal. So I think just being around those types of people has gotten me to where I am now.
Okay. And tell me how you got your current position at Sacred Heart.
Do you want the long story or the short story?
Let's go with the long.
Okay. So long story, I was getting my master's degree at Quinnipiac. I was going into elementary education. So I was teaching for a while. While I was teaching, I was also coaching. This was also like timeline-wise, COVID. So I'm getting my master's degree around COVID time. There wasn't really a lot of hockey going on. And then I decided to join just like a men's league. I hadn't played in like a year, kind of took some time off. Then I finally got on the ice again and I met someone. His name was Steve Silverman. And little did I know, his wife was Gretchen Silverman, or formerly known as Julian, who was on the 98 Olympic team. So I met her, got really, really close with her. She had been coaching at a prep school out here, the Taft School. She'd been there for many years. And there was a program in the area who was looking for a new head coach, and they decided to hire her. And she asked if I wanted to coach with her. And I was like, I am going to drop everything that I'm doing, and I'm going to work with this woman because I want to be like her. So I decided to work with her. I coached with her at Post University for a year. And then, unfortunately, Post wasn't able to make their assistant coaching job full time. So I had to kind of find other avenues. And one of my friends who had been working at Sacred Heart, she had gotten a new job at Vermont. And then
Mhm.
she had recommended my name to the head coach, Tom O'Malley here. And I walked through the door.
Oh,
Crazy, crazy turn of events, but very, very
and
happy
they,
to be here.
yeah, and they loved you from the get-go, I bet.
Yes, yes, very much so. But yeah, this team is awesome. I'm so happy to have this opportunity here and working with Coach O'Malley and our other assistant, Caroline Peterson. She played at Providence College. It's been awesome. It's been a really good ride so far.
Well, very cool. That's an awesome story.
Yeah.
Talks about and definitely points out the power of relationships, serendipity, 6 degrees of separation, or whatever it is, or five.
Oh, seriously. And even crazier, like the coach that I work for now, head coach Tom O'Malley, he recruited Gretchen like years ago.
Oh,
So they also
yeah.
have this connection. Yeah. So wild.
Okay. So you've spent some time on your mental game and perfecting it, making it better, having a purpose to it. How do you teach it to the players you coach now?
I think it's definitely a big point of emphasis with our program. I think there's a lot of talk about just preparation and reflection. That's something that I felt like I learned a lot from you. And I think for our team, I realized that they like to keep it short and sweet, which is why we use like a lot of trigger words. Some of the things that we focus on are fix it, flush it. And another one that we talk about is hype number. So those
Hmm.
are some of the things that we have been talking about. And I feel like those specifically are the two that's really stuck with our team. And that, like, since I've started working here to now going into my third season, those are things that are like reoccurring for the girls.
So you do that on a daily basis, and it's a integrated terminology into your program.
Yes, exactly. So we do usually a workshop in the beginning just to kind of break the things down, why we do it, what it means, especially for the hype number. Have you ever heard of that before?
No, not really.
It's
I
kind of
know
like
what.
it
Yeah,
like your optimal, what did you call it?
optimal performance zone.
Yes, it's very, very similar to that.
Yeah.
So I learned this when I was at Quinnipiac. We had Dr. Spencer Wood come in and do a 3-day workshop with our team, and he talked a lot about hype number. So it's basically just your emotional state as to where you play your very, very best. So you could be from 0 to 10, 10 being I just had 5 energy drinks and I'm bouncing off the wall on a verge of a heart attack, and 0 being I barely have a pulse. So we kind of do this, I would say, workshop with our players, and they kind of on the scale would say, okay, this is where I've played at my very, very best. For example, mine would have been around a 7. So I needed to get pretty hype, nothing too crazy, but definitely wanted loud music, needed my heart rate to be up. I was more on the upside. And then, so another example, my roommate in college, she was a goalie. She was literally at maybe a 2. So there was me knowing myself and her knowing herself. That's where we were on the scale. And I think that helps a lot, especially through the game. Like if I know my players' hype numbers and I see that someone is either too high or too low, it's kind of just to keep you in check. Like, all right, hey, the hype number. So like, are you too high? Are you too low? But it's been really good for our girls. I think it's just a recognition piece,
Mhm.
knowing when they are too high or too low, like I was saying.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. We do
Yeah.
something similar and have done something similar where we talk about what what triggers you to get in the red zone, and
Yep.
what do you need
I
from your
remember talking
coaches.
about this with you.
Yeah. Did you do the heart rate variability training, the inner balance app?
No, we have not.
Okay.
Not with our
Uh,
girls. But I would love to
no,
because I feel like that would help a lot.
have you done it?
Did we do I feel like I have with
You
you.
you put a sensor on your ear and there's an
Yep.
app?
We did do that.
We When we're done, we should talk more about that. See if
Yeah.
there's a way we can integrate that into your program somehow.
Yeah, because I feel like that definitely goes along with hype number for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so what do you see as the biggest challenges for today's athletes and hockey players?
I think with me being at the age that I am, something that I see is social media. Social media, I got my undergrad in communications. So I feel like
Hmm.
that's kind of something that I focus on a lot and I see certain things from that perspective. So I would say social media. It's a conversation that I've had at probably every single camp or recruiting thing that I have done. I think a
Hmm.
lot of kids, compare themselves to other kids on social media from all over the world, especially with recruiting timelines. It's super, super common for kids to
Yeah.
post on social media when they're committed to a certain school. And a lot of I feel like just recently there's been a lot because it was just August 1st when they got to go do their official visits. So I think there's a lot of kids who are kind of in panic mode right now, being like, okay, well, I'm not anywhere near committing yet. But that's okay because it's everyone's own journey. But I feel like social media just kind of adds to that piece of it.
Yeah. Have you ever read the book What Made Maddie Run?
No, I have not.
Oh, that would be I think that book really talks a lot about social media's impact on digital natives,
Hmm.
meaning people who grew up with the internet,
Yep.
and how it impacts people because the person who wrote the book, she was a young woman who passed away from suicide,
Hmm.
and the family gave the writer access to all her accounts and her
Hmm.
journal and her email.
Yeah.
And one of the things they found was that when she projected a really positive image on social media, it coincided with feeling terrible about herself.
Yeah, that I feel like there's a lot of that. And I think
Yeah.
another thing kind of transitioning from social media, but just screen time.
Uh-huh.
I saw that a lot when I was getting my master's when I was teaching elementary school, but I even see that like in performance. We talk a lot about screen time and just having a good routine, going to bed early, putting your phones away, stuff like that. It honestly makes a huge difference. Like I've been wearing a Whoop for 3 years now, and if I'm on my phone before bed, my sleep and my recovery goes down significantly. Like
Wow.
yeah. So we talk about that a
That's
lot too.
that's crazy. Well, and do you guys have a policy before games about or game days taking phones?
We don't do that. No, some of our players, they use it for certain things, whether that be music or if they're
Uh,
watching video, because we like send out our scout and stuff. So no, we don't have that rule, but we do talk about it and make sure that they're conscious about it, especially when they're preparing.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, how are you handling the changing landscape of college sports?
I feel like every day there's something new.
Yeah.
I think it's honestly just staying current, adapting to what's going on. I feel like for us, specifically at Sacred Heart, our
Yeah.
school just opted into the house settlement. So that's kind of something that we're taking and running with right now. And that kind of changes what our landscape's going to look like for the next however long, especially with recruiting.
Hmm.
And now with the PWHL, there's so many different avenues and landscapes, especially in women's hockey, completely different from when I played. So
Hmm.
I think it's really about just having the conversation, staying current, making sure that you know what rules and policies are now implemented because of all of these other things that are changing with players being paid, NOI, all that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So, tell me, how do you think the view of mental health and mental performance has changed since you were in high school and even college?
I think people talk about it way more now. I think that was something in high school that I would say out of the girls who I played with on my team in high school, there was maybe me, my sister, and maybe two other players who I even knew of going to a sports psychologist.
Uh-huh.
And now, when you kind of talk about it more, people are like, oh, yeah, I do this, I do that, or I'm aware of this, or I feel like there's more people reaching out for those resources and knowing that it really does give you an edge.
Mm.
So I definitely think it's a lot more common now than it was before.
Why do you think it's changed?
I think people realizing how important it really is,
Hmm.
or just like willing to have the conversations. I feel like sometimes things about mental health, like when I was growing up, it was kind of
Hmm.
like a wishy-washy, tough thing to talk about. But now
Hmm.
it's so much more accepted and more common to actually have those conversations because it does help. And if you keep it in, then what's that going to do? It's probably just going to hurt you more instead of actually finding those resources or tools to help you excel and succeed.
Hmm. Okay. So, what's the biggest mental performance challenge you face as a coach?
As a coach, I would say main focus is the preparation piece. Like, I'm not playing anymore. I don't get to play. I would I would gladly change spots with anybody on my team right now. I would love to continue playing, but I think it's the preparation piece on the coaching side. Did I prepare my players enough? Are they prepared? How can I control that? Can I control that? I think for me, that's probably the biggest thing that I focus on each week is knowing that if I'm prepared and if I'm able to bring clarity to the team and know that this is what needs to get done, X, Y, Z, whatever it may be. And if I know that I'm communicating that clearly, that I did the best job that I could. And hopefully that they're taking that, absorbing that, and using that in their preparation too.
Okay. So, did you have a go-to strategy for letting go and moving on to the next play?
Fix it, flush it. That's why I teach it. I think that's why we have the conversation about it so much. It's because that was probably one of my go-tos. If you're able to make the mistake, fix it in your head, okay, I know this is what I need to do next time when this happens, and then I'm able to forget about it and move on to the next play, the faster you can do that, the better off we're going to be.
Do you feel like you had to learn how to let go of the emotions that went with your mistakes?
Oh, yeah. I think I was someone who was extremely emotional. I think I was someone who got really, really high or really too low. I recognize that about myself, especially when I got to college. And I think it took a lot of work for me to kind of, again, find that hype number. Like, where do I need to be and how quick can I get back to it?
Okay. Well, so how did working on your mental game and your mental fitness change your game in high school or college or both?
I think when I first started working on it in high school, I realized how I how ADD I really was. I think I didn't really know that for myself until I really started to do the work. So once I figured that out, I think I was able to simplify certain things because I think that my mind would just run, 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 run. And then that's when I would get too high or too low. So I
Mhm.
think once I was more conscious of that, I was able to figure out how to get back. And then I would just simplify. Like instead of having 10 paragraphs, I would have 3 bullet points. And once I got myself back to that, I think I was able to regulate a lot faster.
Hmm. Okay. Well, and you answered my next question was how did you implement it? When you look at the best athletes you've coached or played with, what separates them and makes them different? And what do you notice about their mental performance?
I think the best athletes that I have worked with so far, some of the common things I would say is having a really, really good routine.
Mhm.
And I think growth mindset is beyond. If you're somebody who has a fixed mindset, you're going to be here. You're never going to be able to move up. And I think something too is if these players that I've worked with who are elite, if they make a mistake, you would never know it. It's not
Mhm.
noticeable. They're level-headed. They think about the next play. They don't think about what just happened. They just figure out how they're going to move on. Like the body language piece, I think that was something that was pointed out to me when I was in high school. I think once I realized that that was honestly like if you slam your stick, if you put your head down, if you any of those things, if your opponent sees that,
Mhm.
you're done for. So I think some of that, and I think also just the ability to give yourself some grace. I think the best players that I've worked with, like they're
Mhm.
kind to themselves. Like they understand that hockey is a game of mistakes, but they can talk nicely to themselves about themselves. And that is just a battle in itself.
Mhm.
So I think if you can't do that, you're just going to be stuck in a mental battle all night long. So I think some of the best players that I work with are give themselves grace when they do make a mistake.
Tell me how the things you learned and implemented about your mental performance have impacted your life outside of hockey and coaching. Sorry, I
Um,
sprang that one on you. I just
no,
thought of it.
that's a good one. I think just in every aspect of my life, like it doesn't matter. Again, I don't play hockey anymore. I don't get to play hockey anymore. I get to coach. So I think just being able to recognize those things in my professional life, in my social life, like different things, everything that I'm talking about here on the ice, in the video room, in the weight room, like all of that applies. Like everything that I learned in high school from you, or everything I learned in college from my coaches and other sports
Uh-huh.
psychologists that I've talked to, I feel like it's all applicable in other areas of my life. Even like the fix it, flush it, like there's times that I make mistakes at work too. And do you think that I have time to like be upset and feel bad for myself that I did that? No, I have a whole entire roster who's counting on me to hold myself accountable so we can move on and I can fix it and everybody else can move forward. So again, I have to give myself some grace, but also have some personal responsibility. So
That's a great answer. So tell me about the best coaches you've ever had and what characteristics made them great coaches for you.
obviously, you working with me when I was in high school, you knew that my dad had coached me forever.
Mhm.
And I will absolutely give him the credit. I think that I have done a lot of reflection after graduating high school, going into college. My dad was absolutely the best coach that I ever had. He knew me better than anyone and he could push me harder than anyone else. He was the only person who woke me up every single day at 5 a.m. before school to make sure that I was getting things done. Like he wanted it for me because he knew how badly I wanted it.
Mhm.
And he just believed in me. I think that's the biggest thing. If you have a coach that believes in you and wants the best for you, there's the sky's the limit.
So how do you translate that to the players you have?
I think it's being on that personal level first, knowing that they're human first and really building those relationships with them, getting to know them outside of the rink. I think that's been a huge plus for me. Also, we just have great people in our locker room. I've loved getting to know each and every single one of them. But I think knowing them outside the rink has really helped me build that foundation to actually
Mhm.
hold them accountable, push them harder, expect more. When you're that close with your players, you can do that. If you don't have that relationship with them, it's really, really hard to say, okay, I need you to do this. And they're going to be like, what do you mean?
Mhm.
So
Well, tell me about the most difficult coaches you've had and why were they difficult? What characteristics do they share?
I think that's a tough question because I think someone who may have been hard for me or like a difficult coach for me might be the best coach that someone else has ever had. So
Yeah,
I
I
think
think that's true.
just personally for me, I'm someone who I need to be told exactly what to do. Otherwise, like I said, my mind just starts turning. Like I need 3 bullet points, I'll be good to go. And I think I was someone who would look for direct feedback, but the coaches that weren't able to give that to me, that's
Mhm.
when I struggled to work with them and I struggled to play for them because I didn't know what they wanted. They would just continuously put the question back on me instead of
Mhm.
telling me what they need from me. So it would almost be like, okay, Allison, well, what do you think you need to work on? Instead of, I'm the coach, this is what I see, and this is what I need you to do.
Mhm.
So I think that was just tough for me because again, you tell me what to do, I'm gonna do it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that was frustrating. That was hard for me to deal with.
Okay. What advice would you give young players who want to play after high school at the Division 1 or Division 3 level?
I think that focusing on your mental performance will
Mhm.
get you to the next level. I think that there's a lot of people who have amazing skill sets. There's a lot of people who have the ability to play at the next level. But
Mhm.
if you don't have your mind right and if you aren't able to move on from mistakes, prepare, reflect, all of those things, it's going to be short lived.
Mm. And why do you think that is?
Because playing at the next level is so taxing. There's so many things that you have to balance. That's academics, being on the ice, having time management. There's so many things that go into it versus being in high school and all those things. This is your job. This becomes your job. You being a student athlete really truly is your job. And there's so many people who want to have your job. So if you're not able to handle the commitment and what that entails, it's going to be really tough.
What would you tell the parents of young athletes that want to play at the next level? Or what do you think parents need to know just overall about parenting their young athletes?
I think that's hard because for me to answer just because my dad was my coach. So I think like for me, I was always looking for a little bit more freedom from my dad, but I knew that he would never ever give that to me because he was my coach. But I think looking at parents now, I was just listening to a podcast yesterday. Mike McMillan had done something on the Hockey Think Tank, just talking about the Minnesota model and all those things. And they talk about parents and this and that. And something he had talked about is how the model in Minnesota, like you have your high school season and then you have your spring and fall stuff. Like, let kids be kids. And if you are going to specialize in hockey, you better cross your fingers and toes because I think that kids still need to have other sports and other things that they're involved with to be a well-rounded person. I don't know. I just like don't I as a parent, I'm not a parent. I'm a dog mom. So how can I really speak to that? I
No,
think
but you have a
letting kids
perspective
be
as a
kids.
coach because you you may see patterns and interactions with your players or you hear things.
Yeah, I think I see a big difference in players, especially like even on our roster right now. I know which ones were multi-sport athletes versus not. Like I know, you know what I mean? I feel like that's really important. Like growing up and like I can take myself as an example. When I was in high school, I had played soccer like in middle school. Once I got to my freshman year of high school, I played a little bit and then I was like, I'm only going to play hockey. And my dad supported that and we did everything that we possibly could. And I was lucky enough to play at the Division 1 level and I got there. But I really do see a difference with multi-sport athletes.
Okay. Well, great.
Yeah.
I loved having you on. You were a great guest.
Good.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Good luck with your season and thanks for sharing your journey with our